Point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now you can close.
I just saw.
Yeah, just close.
So
No,
we're
close it because
ready?
it's gonna double the sound. Yeah.
Perfect. We are live.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our first session about the perspective of end users on CAS at the Global CAS Summit. I am Carla Della Maggiora from BASE, the Basel Agency for Sustainable Energy. We are a Swiss non-for-profit organization that develops innovative business models to deploy sustainable climate solutions. One of them being cooling as a service, which was endorsed by the Global Innovation Lab for Climate Finance as one of the most innovative climate finance solutions in 2019. With the support of the Kigali Cooling Efficiency Program, we developed the CAS initiative to mainstream this business model around the world. I invite you to visit throughout the event the exhibitor booth of BASE so you can discover some other business models we have developed. One of the great features of cooling as a service is its applicability to a wide variety of sectors. So today, I have the honor, and you will have the opportunity to hear from two complete different types of customers benefiting from cooling as a service. The first one being a state-of-the-art commercial development in India using CAS for air conditioning as a service. And the second, a farmer in Nigeria using cooling as a service in the agricultural cold storage sector to store fresh produce on a pay-as-you-store basis. So I'm gonna quickly share my screen. Give me 1 second only so I can show you. Hold on, with me. I hope you're seeing the screen now, because basically what I want to show you is some simple sort of like instructions on how to send questions. On the right side, you're gonna have like a box that has the option of chat, questions, or polls. So please go to a question section, and on the bottom part, you can type in your questions. Okay, so give me 1 second. So you can send questions at any time, and this will be addressed at the end of like our two guests speaking. If we don't manage to address all your questions, that's okay, because we are going to use them to try to improve our frequently asked questions section in the CAS-initiative.org website. Without further ado now, I would like to introduce you our two speakers. So,
okay.
1 second, so I can. Yeah. So, these are two speakers. Welcome to both of you. First of all, Nuhu Said, a farmer from the Obinse vegetable market in Owerri in Imo State, and Deepak Kumar, the managing director of Elpro International Limited in India. Both cases are presented in a video recently produced by BBC Storyworks for BASE Commercial Productions as part of the World Green Building Council's collective of films on green buildings, Building a Better Future. You can access this video in our website, and this video was also showcased earlier on today. Okay, so now I would like to, bear with me 1 second here. I would like to welcome Deepak, but in that case, I'm gonna give you a little introduction. We will start with Deepak Kumar, who will share the experience of Elpro Park as a customer of cooling as a service offered by the company Care, from whom you heard today in the morning in the welcoming session and in the session on case studies just recently. If you did not have the chance to listen to Dave Meckerness from Care, I really encourage you to watch the recordings early on, because his speech was extremely inspirational about cooling as a service, but the whole idea of servitization as an overall model. All these sessions are being recorded for you to know, so they will be available in our YouTube channel. So now coming back to Deepak, he's an astute real estate professional and a business leader with more than 2 decades of hands-on experience in delivering dynamic and vibrant mixed-use real estate projects across geographies in India. He has been instrumental pushing for the adoption of customer-centric and environmentally sustainable technologies to fulfill our obligations, their obligations, towards current and future generations, and really our obligations, not just his. So welcome, Deepak. The screen is all yours. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'll ask you in that case to share your screen.
Thank you so much, Carla, for the introduction. And I would like to thank all the listeners all across the world. And good afternoon from India, and greetings of the day accordingly, whoever and wherever all the listeners are. I'll just start sharing my screen. Just give me a moment, please. So is the screen visible, Carla?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So I'll just start with a brief introduction about my company. So we are Elpro International, which was incorporated in the year of 1962 in collaboration with General Electric USA. Elpro International is basically a diversified listed entity in India with substantial presence in real estate, manufacturing, and education businesses. This is a brief about our Pune precinct, which we have in a 35-acre land parcel. I'll just go to the next slide to tell you where what is. Right? So this is the basic overall outlay of the 35-acre campus. What is not visible here is the mall, the commercial mall, which we have slightly outside the campus, but abutting this land parcel. So you can see there is a corporate building. So the corporate buildings are basically the office space which we have leased out to various grade A tenants. Then we have an education complex, which is of course the school which we run. And in the center in blue, you can see that's the CARE chiller plant, which is serving this business park. Let's go to the next slide. So the basic questions which we wanted addressed when we were trying to find out cooling as a solution, because there is a definite cooling need in India because of the extreme temperatures which we have. And even in Pune also the temperatures reach up to 45 degrees centigrade during summer. So we were apprehensive about the cooling solutions which we wanted, and we wanted certain answers. So we started asking our questions amongst ourselves, and the basic questions were these three, which you can see on the screen. That if we outsource, then it will be an important element which we are going to outsource. So the basic questions which we wanted addressed were choosing the right provider with practices and procedures and experiences in managing the mission critical facilities. Then we wanted somebody to state our needs and requirements so the service provider can deliver against these. So we were framing questions and answers ourselves so that our tenants need not suffer on the cooling side. Then it was on the signing of a long-term contract. We did not know how the service provider is going to come through, because cooling as a service was very new concept when we started off in India. So no lock-in periods, simple exit clause, and no penalties, etc., were the top of our mind. Then the obvious thing, which is cost comparison to the old way of doing air conditioning vis-a-vis the new way of utilizing cooling as a service, wherein the vendor had to turn in the rupee value to the RTH annual budgets and the life cycle cost analysis. So these were the apprehensions and the questions which we had in mind, which got addressed later. These are a few photographs of the part of the 35-acre development which I was talking to you about. This is the One Elpro Park, which is the premium commercial office spaces with grade A tenants. This is again a view of the One Elpro Park with certain tenants inside. These are the people or the office workers working in the clean and healthy environment which is provided by CARE. This is our school. So the school is a 4-acre development with more than 5,500 students. This is the inner view with students inside the school campus. This is the state-of-the-art CARE plant room, which we have in our campus in the One Elpro Park, which supplies the chilled water to all our facilities, which I just mentioned, which is the office spaces as well as to the school. This, which I mentioned to you, is the 6.5 acre development, which is the Elpro City Square Mall, which is there in Pune. It has got more than 100 national and international brands in the mall. These are a few glimpses of the mall. This is just Diwali, which just went by, which is the biggest festival in India. So it was decked up for that. This is the view of the mall. The first one is the atrium and the second one is the food court. These are the few pictures with the happy shoppers shopping inside the mall in a clean and comfort conditions, and the air which is provided by CARE in the mall. This is the state-of-the-art CARE plant room, which is there on the terrace of the mall. So the CARE plant room can both be built on the ground as well as on the terrace. So this in the mall is in the terrace, and the chilled water is supplied through all the HUs to the mall premises. CARE again runs on the renewable solar energy, which has been installed on the terrace of all the buildings. Then came the question of that why did we choose CARE as a service model? So these are the three basic, I would say, points. There are many other points, but for the sake of ease, as to why we decided to go with CARE is unmatchable levels of service because of the reliability and the user experience for our tenants. It was provided by CARE, and the promise has been kept till date. The second point is it's pay as you use business model. So it's just like a simple electricity bill every month, wherein there's a bill raised and you need to pay as a service. And the third part is sustainability, which is core motto of our organization, wherein CARE's dedication was to run on 100% renewable sources of energy without guzzling much of the coal-based power, which is more prevalent in India. As I mentioned about the motto of Elpro is to create sustainable and green spaces. So this is a small example of that, wherein in the One Elpro Park, we have created an urban forest, which acts as a lung and the breakout space for the office goers. This is a picture of that. So we started using CARE quite some time back, around 3 years now. So after a few years, what were the results? So the results are again for us to talk about. The first one is clean and healthy air supplied to all our facilities with zero downtime. Second one is simple and easy payment, and it helps us in forecasting and budgeting. The third is renewable energy. And the fourth and the most important point is definitely it helps us free up our time from the hassles of running HVAC for all our tenants and for ourselves, because that is being taken care by CARE. So that actually has helped us a lot in focusing on our core business, which is development. Thank you so much for listening, and I would be open to any questions which anybody might have.
Excellent, Deepak. What we are gonna do, we are gonna hear from Nuhu first, and then I'm gonna open a session of questions and answers, just to make it easy. So in that case, I'm gonna share my screen again. What we're gonna do, just to let you know, is that first of all, I really, before sharing the screen, I really want to thank Deepak for your quite informative talk and sharing your views as a customer of Cooling as a Service. And I already have several questions myself that I want to raise once we have the chance to do that. And as I mentioned before, now we're going to turn to a complete different application of Cooling as a Service. And I'd say that's one of the reasons that I myself personally, I'm really a fan of the servitization model applied to the cooling industry in this case. We are going to hear from Nuhu about his experience as user of Cold Boom, offered by Cold Hubs in Nigeria. We heard already from Nameka from Cold Hubs in the earlier session. And now we're gonna see the other side. No, it's not the provider, it's the user side. Just to give you a little bit of background about Nuhu Saed, he's 23 years old, so he's really, really young, and he's a farmer and a trader at the Obinse vegetable market in Owerri in Imo State. He deals on a different variety of fruits and vegetables. He has been in the business for close to 2 years and as a customer of Coldhub's cold room available in the Obinse market since it is there. One key thing is that Nuhu is currently connected now from the market, because we do have sometimes issue with the connection, the quality of the connection. We decided to manage this session a little bit different. And what we did instead, and was with the help of Shinedu, who's also joining us from Coldhub, they produced a video that instead of having like a PowerPoint presentation and he talking, there's a video that shows Nuhu he's speaking with subtitles, so it's easy for everyone. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna share my screen to show you that video. Having said that, anyhow, after the video, Nuhu is available for questions the same way Deepak is gonna be available for questions. So in this case, welcome Nuhu, and I will start sharing your video. So bear with me 1 second so I can share my screen and look for your video. Here we have it. Share. I'm gonna disconnect my. Please let me know if you start hearing the video. I should be.
Yes, all good, Carla.
The audio is low.
Yeah, Carla, yes.
The volume is low. Sorry, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna hold on. Let me try to hold on. We're gonna change this. Sorry for that. Always learning. So I'm gonna reshare my screen again. Let me just be sure that I have the video from zero again, and we go. Take two. And we're gonna go with the video. Let's hope that, you know.
My name is Noor Said. I'm from Jos Plateau State. I came here to start my business at Obinse Market in the Imo State, and I have small farm here. The thing that I sell is cabbage, carrot, spring onion, lettuce, onion, tomato, celery, parsley, and ginger, lemon, etc. The first time that I call bring their things here, you are actually surprised, because sometimes you just say, what is kind of thing they are going to put it here, and we are going to pay money and put it. The first time you try it, the thing work. But some people, like, you know, anything like you must try it before you know whether it's good or bad. You use it as the first time, as a few things. Actually, some of the things that I used to put there is green beans, green pepper, lettuce, spring onion, and some of celery and parsley. We also used to put it there. Even sometimes I used to put carrot inside, and also cabbage, and some of lemon. Even lemon I used to store inside. Before Coco come here, actually, if you just buy market, you always use place that they have already put roof on it, they have already put roof on it to just spread our market there. But actually, every place that you can come and select some, they have already scored, because every day they must score, because that place is not good, so it's just grease. Sometimes, you know, if thing is much, they easily score easily there. You just separate it, and every day you come select again. I used to get a lot of loss there, because every day you use your energy and still your market is still spoiled. The market we are buying this good is from vegetable market, Bukuru, Jos Plateau State. From there, we used to get some challenges because of sometimes it's just bad road from there to here. And the things you are buying from there, they are much. We are using truck, 3 truck, 2 truck sometimes. I used to buy it in bulk, because sometimes I used to buy 3 bags, 4 bags, 10 bags, 20 bags like this. And if I bring it from Jos to here, after uploading it, I will join it together with the one I used to farm here, the little that I used to farm here, join it together and put it inside cold so that I can also preserve it. If you can't create from Coho, you just put the market and select the one that's for anything you have, you must spoil before you reach it. That is it. You know how fresh things are easily get spoiled because they are inside trap. Then you select the one that's spoiled and arrange it inside the crate. After finish arranging it, then you start bringing it to the Coho. Every crate has its number. That is the number they are using in each crate is there. And if you bring it, the girl that is a girl that used to work there, that is the card, their card. They record everything in this card. That is, they record your name, the number of the market you brought, the number of the crates, the number of the crate in that market. That is it, the way. And the way we used to pay, they just put the number of the crate. If you come to carry the market, see, if you come to carry the market, that's the time you're going to pay the money for her. That is it. If you want to you carry the record, you pick one and that's the amount of money you pay. That is it continuously till your market finish inside. If your market finish, that's all. You stop paying. Before Call come here, you used to get like 50% of what you buy also spoil. But actually from that you used to get a gain, but it's not that much gain, you just manage. So now the cohort is here. You used to get much gain than before. Before you used to lose 50% out of 100. You see it's a lot of money you lose. But now you don't used to lose. Even you lose it's just a little, not even that, not even up to 5% or 2%. Just 1% or half percent the one you just lose because things are not spending now much than before. Now we used to put it in cohort, the thing that used to spoil. You can stay for 10 days, 8 days, nothing can happen. You can't even remove one single pieces like spoil, that the one I've spoiled. You see it clean, like now they just finish harvesting it. My customer like to buy from me, and if our market come Wednesday, before Monday, my market have already finished. You're not going to see single pieces of something. There is one day one woman come and she said that she's going to use her own things like next week Wednesday, and before that time our market never come, and before that time our market have already finished. She asked me how can I save this market for her. I said, oh, we have cohort here and they also help us. The way you keep it here, that's the way you come and carry it. And she just be happy like why parties if you put it in the fridge used to spoil. I said that one is the temperature is too high for him because he used to get block. If you get block, it's spoil. And this cohort is just to make it to be cool and keep it afraid. She just be happy. Even the day that she came to collect, she saw it in as fresh as she just buy that. She just happy like, this is wonderful because she even like it to buy her things and put it there. I told her it's very cheap. She asked me how much are you used to pay. I said it's only 100 naira back then. And she's so happy because it's so cheap and they help her. Before cohort here, we were afraid to lose our money. We used to buy like English one bag and green pepper, you just buy half bag. Some we used to buy like 5,000 naira. But now, cohort come, we used to buy like green beans, we used to buy 10 bags, 20 bags, and green pepper. We used to buy a lot. Some we used to buy 5 bags, 6 bags. If it's in basket, we used to buy like 10 basket, 5 basket. Before we used to just buy half. Some people don't used to use cohort and some people are using. The people are not using cohort are just little. It's just you can even count them. And sometimes their reason is just minor reason they have. Sometimes I used to just tell them, let them put it in cohort. You say all this stress you are using it to come and select every day. Just put it in cohort. Some they even agree to put it. Some up to now they are just trying to, it's everybody have different understanding.
So with that, I hope, first of all, I would like to apologize because of having the volume low at the beginning. And second, because I realized sometimes I had the cursor and the sort of the signs for like playing, stopping, everything was on top of the subtitles. So hopefully you still managed to grasp most of the video. And with that, I really wanna thank Nuhu for the video that they prepared. So I'm really grateful because this really helped us. So what I would like to do now is to open the session for questions and answers, and I'm gonna start. Let me just close here some stuff. I'm gonna start with a couple of questions. In this case, first to Deepak, and then to Nuhu, and then we move from there on. So first of all, a question for you, Deepak. Could you please speak about the mechanics to break the cooling as a service contract? You said that it was was one of your big concerns, and this is from someone of our audience. So how is your experience? And we heard before from Dave about that trying to make it simple for the customer was really important. So what is your experience as a customer with dealing about the contract, breaking the contract if you need it? Nuhu, can I ask you in the meantime to mute yourself just in case whenever we are not answering questions, I'll do the same myself, okay?
Yeah, so thank you, Carla, for your question. So in India, typically what happens is that when you start any discussion, it always boils down to the commercial and the commercial terms. And then at the end of the day, you have to be in business and you have to be comfortable. So both sides have to be comfortable. So during discussion with CARE, we found the commercial terms to be very amenable, right? Rather than being very penaltative, because the investment which is being put forth by CARE, right? So they have to be protective about their own investment, and plus we as a customer, so the trust factor takes a lot of time to build, right? So initially when you see the terms of the contract, and if you see that it is being very transparent and encouraging, so the trust automatically develops, right? So rather than putting together too much of technical terms and trying to complicate your agreement at the start itself, will lead to a lot of mistrust, which we as a company also, when we saw the agreement, we thought that it was very transparent and it was built in such a way that it was a win-win for the client and the customer. So that gave us a lot of confidence to go along with the model.
Okay, that's perfect. And that sort of liaised with a question that I have myself, because, for instance, also taking a little bit from what we heard already from CARE, was the fact that they did show how having a portfolio helped them cope with the whole crisis due to the lockdowns and the economic implications of that lockdown due to COVID. Yeah. So how was your case? You as a customer, you suffer also lockdowns. I assume the malls were closed. I don't know if the school were closed. So clearly, maybe your demand for air conditioning was reduced.
So as I mentioned that, yeah, sure. So as I mentioned that the trust was built at the very start of our relationship. It was not that we gained trust over a period of time. The trust started at the very start of this relationship, and that's how there was so much of energy and the investment which was put in, right? After that, if I talk about this COVID-19 era, which started around a year back, means almost like 8-9 months now. So the different portfolio of businesses which we have got impacted differently, right? So let's start with the office space. So the office space got impacted to a certain extent, not much, because the offices were closed for a certain period of time, which was from March 15th. They shut down, and post April, right? Some of them started on a staggered note, and still till I would say July, they were at a certain percentage. From July onwards, the offices started in the normal routine, right? So in the office space, definitely there's no more question of being billed differently, because they are being billed on the BTU rate, right? So whatever you consume, you pay. If you don't consume, you will not pay. So it was a simple solution for the office. Now let's come back to the school. So the school till now is shut in India. So in India, due to COVID-19, from March till, I would say, December 12th is till which the schools are shut. So there also is very simple. There's no usage, so you don't pay, right? Then comes the third most challenging, I would say, the real estate platform which we have is the mall. Now in the mall, it becomes very difficult because the retailers are there. The retailers, some might want to pay, some might not want to pay. And the other aspect was that since you were closed for a period from 15th of March to 5th of August, so what do you do? So there was a differential pricing which we rolled out in consultation with CARE, that look, we have to pass on some discounts to the retailer for them to survive. At the end of the day, if they are doing business, then they can pay. But during the COVID challenging times of August and September, not everybody was able to pay because the businesses were down. So we had to offer them some kind of handholding to survive the crisis. So this is, I have taken you through the spectrum of the real estate portfolio which we have right now, in which we have the CARE solution.
Excellent. And that brings, like I'd say, I would like to highlight something that I see that is very different maybe from other kinds of business models, is the fact that collaboration is key. Because on one hand, let's say when you describe the mall and then the tenants of the malls, that they are business owners at the same time, that they cannot pay because clearly the economy was sort of shut down. And then you collaborating with them through you collaborating with CARE at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's,
so I play the mediator in between.
Yeah, and that again is something when Thomas in the morning started, and maybe Dimitris mentioned the thing as well, the whole concept that the cooling as a service or servitization aligns the interests of people, business, and planet is really true. And
Right.
This collaboration, it becomes, instead of something competitive, it becomes collaborative. With that said, and I'm going to come back to you, Deepak, in a while, I want to turn to Nuhu now. And thank you again, Nuhu, because I know you're taking time off your market to be here with us, and that's extremely valuable for us, and also because you want to share your experience. One of the things that I'd like to ask you, Nameka mentioned the thing, and we felt that it's been very key in the operation of coal hubs, is to teach people. They have this sort of academy where they teach customers why maybe cooling food, the fact that what Nameka mentioned that I thought it was quite like funny, that, like, people cannot expect the cold hubs, the cold storage to be a magical place where you put like spoiled woods and then they're gonna come find fresh and shiny.
Sure.
So if you can explain us, how did the cold hubs taught you about like cooling? Did you know before that like putting your goods in a cold place would help you keep these woods for a longer time? You can enlighten us with your opinion on that. And Shineru, do you need to step in to help? More than happy.
Okay,
Take the question again.
Can you take the question again quickly? The network froze,
yes,
so we didn't get the
absolutely.
entire
I would
question.
like Nuhu to maybe talk a little bit about the work that Coal Hubs did with him or with the people in the market in terms of educating them about using the cold storage. What are the benefits of using cooling for the produce?
Okay, did you understand?
Yes,
Okay.
I understand.
Okay,
I try to make people to understand how to use Coho, because for my understanding, Coho helped me a lot to store my market and gain a lot of it. That is it. Sometimes I will just tell you, if I saw you like you are just selecting your market, I would just like to go there and start discussing with you so I can be telling you one or two things about Coho. I would just like to tell you, like, all these things you are doing, you're just making yourself stressful, because if you just keep it in Coho, it will help you to keep your market fresh. That is, sometimes I will tell you like this. Like sometimes if if somebody things spoil, he used to get angry like this. He don't even like somebody to talk to him. But I will go there, like I was try to help him to picking. You know, if you try to help somebody, you really appreciate it. That's the time I will just start discussing with it. One or two things. I'll just tell him, try and put it in your call hole. You cool your market will still are fresh. He say, is it good? I say it's good and it's very cheap. And your market will not spoil much there. And some people are willing to put it, and some people are not willing to put it. But up to now, they are just trying to keep it aside because some people that say to come 100 naira is stressful. Sometimes you not have it, sometimes you have it. But I always tell them, even you don't have it now, till the day, if you saw your market a little, you can pay the money late. And this call really help us here because of the weather is here. The weather is here is too hot. That is it. And anything vegetable don't like hot weather. It easily gets spoiled. That is it. And call help us a lot.
Excellent. So can I
Thank
ask
you.
you, when coal have arrived to that market for the first time, did they approach you? Did you go and knock the doors to find out what they were offering? How was that, the start of the relationship?
Mm, the first time they brought it here, they have the agent. The agent come in, include themselves that this is the thing they are bringing here, and you can also use it. That is the thing they will just brought it, and at the end of the day, they will spoil your market inside and be telling you some stories. That is it. They bring it, and everybody is surprised, like what they are going to do here, all these things. But the first time they come here, they advertise it like they even give you a card like to see what you can keep inside the card. You can just saw it, and that's the type of thing you can keep it inside to make you cool. And the payment you pay, and it's very cheap. They are using it. They told you this is where can put your market, arrange it. If you bring it, select it, and put the one that are good. You know, if you join goods market and the one that starts spoil, no matter if you keep it in that cohort, they will still spoil because you join it with the bad one that have already started spoiling. Then they will just tell you select it first before putting it there. That is it. It really help us a lot.
Perfect. And I'm going to ask you a last question now to go to Deepak, and then I'm going to come back to you. But I would like to know, we heard that it costs like 100 niara to store one crate during the night. Can you tell us more or less, or a range, how much is the value of the produce that you store in a crate? So it's just to have a sense how cheap or not so cheap is this 100 niara compared with the value of the crate, what the produce inside of the crate. I think we've Nuhu froze. What I'll do in the meantime, because at least in my screen he froze. I told you about the connection issues. I'm gonna, when things get better, I may ask him the question. In the meantime, I'm gonna go back to Deepak. Or Nuhu, we're gonna go back to Deepak in this case. So Deepak, another questions from the audience, and I think it's something that we also saw before. Sorry, Nuhu, I just went back to a question to Deepak and I'll come back to you again, okay? So
Okay.
Deepak, one question that we saw before also when it was mentioned, the case study session earlier on, was the whole issue about like managing risk, like the fact that if you're like, you're an end user, and if the air conditioning in your case, or maybe a refrigeration in the case of an industrial facility, stops working, at the end, it can really affect your business, because like maybe people are not gonna go to a shopping mall, and then you're not gonna have tenants renting you. And then you are gonna have on one side, like people not going to a mall, maybe students at school not happy, not producing enough. So how do you manage that management of that risk?
Yeah. So look, at the start of the business relationship itself, this is also discussed as to the contractual guarantee with CARE. So the first of all, the planning of CARE is such that they always have a standby chiller. So that is number one. So that is the precondition we also had from our side, that look, what happens if there is only one chiller and it fails, what happens, right? So they always have an N+1 philosophy in which they always have a backup chiller installed. So they don't think about that penny wise pound full scenario initially. They always invest in one extra chiller so that they can take care of that. Now, as an additional layer of protection, they also have an understanding with the local chiller suppliers, wherein if, say, for example, both of the chiller fail, what happens? So they are even prepared for that scenario, and they work with certain players in the market wherein they can have a standby chiller on a limited period time, which they'll install temporarily to your chill water lines and provide you the chilling. So the contractual guarantee of a downtime is also there with CARE. So we were very happy with the kind of support there is, which is built into the contract. It's not just a saying; it is built into the contract.
Okay. Sorry, so can I ask you if, give me 1 second, no, there. So can I ask you something following on that?
Yeah.
What would have been the business as usual, like the typical case that instead of you having cooling as a service, maybe, or maybe it's part of your past history in another real estate development, that you really had the whole cooling equipment like purchased by your company, and at the end you maybe hired maintenance people. How did you manage that risk? And I just want to come maybe to a conclusion. Are you facing more or less risk by having cooling as a service compared to the business as usual?
So look, I'll tell you, because the office spaces, this is the CARE relationship is just around 3 years old. So we have been running offices like many years now. It's more than 10 years. So initially we had the office spaces running on various other solutions, in which we invested in our own machines, wherein the machines were air cooled. They were not energy efficient. They were not, the life was decreased because we were not into the business of HVAC. So the preventive maintenance, the taking care of that, then we had to hire a whole new team to maintain and see that what is the temperature which is getting at the tenant level, to manage that, maintain that. So there's a lot of incidentals as well as a lot of headache which we had initially. And plus, since they were all air cooled chillers, they were not water cooled, and they were guzzling energy like anything. We were not contributing anything to the environment as such, right? So that was the experience which we had. So once we got to know of this, then, and they were able to just pinpoint our problems, which we were already facing, because they had initially this experience already in Singapore and Malaysia. So they came up with all the right kind of answers to our own headaches which we had, but we could not have discussed this with anybody, right? You don't discuss your weaknesses with anybody, right? And they pointed us out that, look, these they did not tell us directly, but they did mention that, look, these are the general challenges which we have faced in the Singapore market initially, because they would have done this in the Singapore market close to around 15-20 years back. And we realized that, yes, they are answering all the questions which we wanted somebody to answer for us, but we could not have the vision or the answers on our own, right? So that's the solution which we had right on our plate, and besides being whatever the contractual terms and investment was.
Excellent. That's a really important insight for like end users, because they do have these kind of questions. So now I'm gonna go back to Nuhu. Nuhu, I don't know if you heard my question, so I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna ask you again the question. You mentioned in the video that, or before or after, that the cost of storing a crate per night is 100 Niara. And I want to have a sense of how important is those like 100 Niara compared to the value of the goods that you are like saving by like putting them in the storage room. So what would be maybe the average or the range of value if you store, let's say, a crate of peppers or a crate of carrots or a crate of lettuce, etc.? How much is the value that you sell those produce for compared to this 100 Niara? Nuhu, I don't hear you and I don't see you muted. Can you check your microphone? No, maybe you disconnect and you speak directly to the computer. This is proving challenging.
No?
Now, yes, now we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Use of pepper, like 1 crate of pepper now is so expensive.
How much?
Like 20,000, and 20,000 to come out 100 naira inside is just a little, and that you value a lot of 20,000 is a lot. That is 100 naira is just small money that you can just remove out of 20,000. You see, that means you value our market a lot more than 100 naira. 100 naira is just a minor thing. Even if you don't have, if you ask somebody to help you with it, you easily give you, because 100 naira is just small. But if you ask somebody to help you with 20,000, he can't even give you just like that. You just start thinking that how are you going to pay him back that 20,000? But 100 naira is so cheap. We are using it at simple, like to pay to value up to 20,000 naira. You know, it's a lot. And green beans too, all of that.
So that's quite
And
impressive. Continue, go ahead.
one crate of, okay.
No, go ahead,
One great
continue,
one,
please.
one crate of beans is 15,000, 10,000, like this, you see. To carry out of 10,000 or 15,000 to come out 100 naira is just little, and it's easily to get 100 naira out of that your market. If you sell, you get, like now, if you sell one crate of beans, you get like up to 20,000. If you buy it 10,000 or 15,000, you gain up to 5,000 or 10,000 out of it. And if you come out 100 naira out of the gain, you see you also gain a lot of it inside. You just small money you come out inside that 10,000 to just pay. It's easy and cheap.
That's excellent to hear. And you know why? Because like the World Economic Forum recently launched a video that it touches your both cases, Nigeria with coal hubs and here in the case of El Pro Park. And that video has, many people have seen that video. And one of the reactions of questions that came up was, but what about at the end, the provider has the power over the farmers, so maybe they are charging too much. And we clearly see again that collaboration has been key, because Coal Hub is collaborating with you. They have a business, and of course they make the money to continue with the business, but then they are helping you, Nuhu, and you farmers there, because your produce can last longer. Then you don't lose all the work and time, even your work from maybe producing, like, I don't know, growing those crops, harvesting those crops, or even buying them from others. And a very important element is the fact that we are saving food. Like, food waste around the world is calculated by the Food and Agriculture Organization, for you to know, around 30% plus. So the moment that we can really save food, that is really important, because that alone has a big impact on climate change. So just, I would like to hear a little bit more from you, Nuhu, about today, for instance. What produce are you selling today? What produce are you storing with Coal Hub today? Let's say this week. I don't know if you sell the same kind of produce throughout the year, or is it different? I would just like to get to know you a little bit more, because you have become sort of like, maybe you don't know it, but a star, because you're featuring so many of these videos are being seen by everyone around the world.
Yes. All the things that I mentioned in that video, that's the thing that I do sell. And that is, I do sell carrots, green beans, Irish potato, sweet potatoes, as you are using, green pepper, green beans, lettuce, beetroot, and leek onion, spring onion, and the rest. Even marrow, bone marrow, all these things you are selling that thing, all radish. And the one we are always putting cohort are just green beans, green pepper, lettuce, spinach, and this spring onion. Sometimes you also put carrot and cabbage inside to store it, but that's the most important thing you are used to putting in cohort. These carrots, green beans, green pepper. That's the thing you always must put it in cohort, because it used to spoil easily. And even lettuce, that one is must you put it in cohort, because it easily gets spoiled. That's the thing you used to put it in cohort.
After hearing all this, I'm really hungry, I can tell you, and I really appreciate what Cold Herbs is doing for you, because personally I'm an avid gardener and I try to have my small like horticulture plot. So it's really, I really appreciate that. So I would like to go back to you, Deepak, with the last question because of the timing that we have before I close. And I would like to understand now from the point of view of your customers, Deepak. Do you promote among your customers, maybe the office or the students or even the people who visit the shopping mall, the fact that you, like El Propark in this case, has a complete sort of like sustainable system? It's not just in terms of using cooling as a service with the most efficient sort of operation from the provider, but also having renewable energy with the solar panels. And what has been the value for you as a business, or like a business, to have customers learning about that?
Carla, I would like to point out, because we have got a various different set of customers which we have in our real estate properties, because the option of providing an office space wherein we have most of our tenants are all German automobile manufacturers or US automobile manufacturers, because this part of Pune is dominated by the likes of Mercedes, Tata, Audi, Volkswagen, on all those players, right? So these are our tenants. So the tenants which we have definitely place a lot of value to the triple bottom line, which is, of course, moving towards a green solution. So they really appreciate the kind of effort we have put in to provide them with a clean and a healthy air. Definitely, we also have promoted that what CARE is doing as a service to us. For example, initially, nobody was there to tell them the carbon dioxide presence inside their own building, because they had the fresh air which was not being supplied properly, or since they had a air cooled machine, so obviously the same stale air used to circulate inside. So we have tried to educate them, and they are very, very open and receptive. So they really appreciate, and they have seen us taking efforts into putting in solar and arriving at that triple bottom line. So that is number one. Number two, since we run the school ourselves, right? So as I mentioned that we are big in education. So it is in our own interest to promote the health of the kids there, because we want them to be receptive and healthy enough to learn in a proper environment. So that is the number two set of users. The third set of users is definitely...
The third set in 30 seconds, please.
So the third customers is definitely the mall, wherein the customers are coming in, but right now customers in India don't really care about the kind of air, but slowly and gradually they will also start expecting that you provide not only a clean and sanitized environment after COVID, but definitely a clean and healthy air. So that's what I think CARE is going to score very big in terms of the mall also.
Excellent. So we are now on time to close this session, but beforehand, I would really like to express my gratitude to both of you, Deepak and Nuhu. In particular, in this case, I know maybe Deepak for you is later on, for Nuhu is in the middle of his market day. Your experience has been extremely important for others to hear, even for us. We always enjoy listening to you, because this is, at the end, is a human touch. We see how these kinds of business models are really touching and having an impact on human beings. So engaging into something new, we always know that it's challenging, and this is the case of cooling as a service. So just to hear from your successful experiences is really, really enlightening. And we really hope, as we said at the beginning, the whole aim of this e-summit today is to show other people like the world that the model works. We want to bring the experience of those who have done it from the different points of view, the provider, in your case, the end users, and of course, those that are investing. As I told you before, all the recordings are going to be available in our YouTube channel, if by any chance you missed part of this talk or any previous talk. And last but not least, I would really like you to stay engaged and continue enjoying the next sort of session that we have in our e-summit. Is something very current, because we are talking about the role of cooling as a service in the COVID-19 vaccine distribution. With that having been said, I really want to thank you, and I say bye until later.
Thank you so much, Carla. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, Nuhu. Bye, Shinedu. Thanks a lot. Bye, Deepak.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.